happened last time in this game.
Apparently there is a Giga Chad.
I mean, I'm here, but besides me, yeah.
We got Purser got commissioned by some dragon to go kill some lizard, or no, not kill, not yet, not yet. Scout out some lizard folk warlord in the is it the Catan or is it the Hamilton Island? And now we're heading over
Hamilton
to go check
Island.
them out.
Hamil-
Hamilton, that was it. And we're
yeah,
set to go check them
your
out,
arch
and we got attacked.
your archaeologist with you said, can we stop by Catan Island on the way back? Because she thinks there's some type of religious thing there, and you know, she's a nerd, and you guys said sure. It's on the way. We can stop for Mickey D's.
Yeah,
Um,
in and out adventure, 20 minutes.
yeah. Yeah, that is the long and short of it. Party got which actually I think the beginning of that Joan was for. Um, uh, going continuing along the river, you guys ran into I don't think many major problems. The good folks in Biapokul were not as helpful as they could have been, but you got through okay. While heading through the strait here, you did run into a bit of a tiff. You kind of drove by a domestic dispute between some very, very big things. An absolutely enormous undead, like, combination of multiple things, sharks and octopuses and other things, and some type of giant sea monster. And the party saw that and said no, and kind of drove around it. But they couldn't really get far because they were at the end of their charge, so to speak, for the ship. Um, they got past the worst of it. Some undead came out of the water in the night, presumably just for funsies, and the party spanked them until they were no longer corporeal,
Oh, fun.
and then decided that heading upriver was a better idea than heading to the closest point and then just like traveling overland or at least over swamp to the capital city. So it's a little bit longer, but your ship will be nearby by the time you um, get to Cirxel Isru, so the capital city that you're headed to. And yeah, am I missing anything? Anybody? So
Sounds about right.
there's a lot of combat, so less
You,
storytelling stuff than usual.
you met a new friend.
Oh, yes, you officially, Lizard Folk fellow who came with you from Mishann, came out of the hold and jumped in when Mercy seemed to go into a Windows Update mode, and promptly started smashing the giant frogs in the head with a club, and has been trying to uh, explain things to his new Korovar friends, as he's happy to explain.
But, he he likes in combat. He likes to help with his +2 28-ounce waffle-headed roofing hammer.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird that it's a magic weapon, but it's he's big into it.
It has magic runes on it that says Estwing.
But yeah, guys had just finished sailing up to the mouth of the Atoyle River, and you're gonna hopefully sail up it as far as you can to get to get to the capital of this lizard folk realm that's apparently relatively new. Put up the date. Okay, there we go. And one second, let me just do a quick double check. Is that a holdover from? It is. Okay. I don't remember exactly, but I think if I remember correctly, it's like midway through the day. Um, and you guys were just coming. You've been in shallower waters for a while now, and you're coming up on the lizard folk settlement of Zalak. And sure. But as you arrive at the mouth of the river, you see there's a decent-sized settlement on the southern bank. Jizozo is happy to tell you it's called Zalak, and you'd guess it's a little bigger than Mishann, at least in population. It does have docks made from stone and raised earth. There's about a dozen Lutetia, which is to say the alligator or crocodile, vaguely crocodilian lizard folk, riding on the backs of their the legless crocodiles that you guys have seen them use as mounts uh, once or twice, mostly on like major rivers and such, that are coming out to meet your ship. They are shouting up, trying to make themselves heard over the water and the distance of your deck from the surface of the water. Um, but mostly it's just yelling in lizard folk. Come to village to speak with voice. What do you guys say? Do you fire down into the water, or what do you want to do?
I mean,
I cast Devourer's Teeth. No, I don't.
Like-
Um,
Well,
there's
that'd
not
be
really
better.
many threats to us here. Like, it's not like they can board us or anything.
Not that
So,
you're aware of. Yeah, it would be quite a feat. Yeah.
well, even if they could, it's not like they could take the ship. So, yeah, we don't really need to
Um,
be
so
aggressive here.
am I really familiar with this specific tribe and how they like do stuff, operate, that sort of thing?
Um, I would say I'm not going to make you do a history check. Let me look what I have here before I say anything. There we go. Just took me a second for it to load. How is it? There it is. Okay. I would say off the casual memory, you know that this was one of the more than half of the tribes ended up collaborating with the warlord's forces when he was like when it's clear just how thoroughly steamrolling, just how much of a steamroll it is to go against him. You could give me a history check to try and get more detail on it, but as far as you know, these were people who worked with them. Um,
God
let's
damn, my
see.
history sucks.
Uh, I mean, that's a 20. That's pretty good. Uh, let's see here. So you know that this particular tribe, like they're first of all the leadership, the current voice of the warlord or border lord as he prefers to be called, is the title he's taken on. Um, she apparently turned on her brother who was going to have the tribe resist. Um, it's one of those things where, as distasteful as that is, especially for you specifically, um, I don't know if you'd admit this to the party, but you know that she kind of only did it when it was clear that they were about to get massacred. Like it wasn't. She probably didn't advocate for it initially, but when it was one of those, we're about to lose and it'll be bad, and he said, no, 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 we're fighting to the last. She basically poisoned him. Um, and yeah, so it's it's distasteful, but you're at least aware that she probably isn't actually that enthusiastic about working with the um, invading force or whatever, what have you, but she did regardless. Um, you also know it has the best ocean dock within the Telhoni. That's the name of the tribe the warlord's from. It's the best ocean dock within that realm. They're the main breeders and trainers of oceanic legless crocodiles, mounts that are ideal for deep rivers and coastal raiding. So, um, but yeah, that's what you can think of for this particular tribe and their settlement.
So they have
Right.
I'm assuming a natural deep harbor.
Yeah, it's not a great one, but
Quick, quick,
it's enough that you
quick!
can get in.
Hide it from the Russians.
Luckily, they're far, far away. But
Uh, okay, Jototso will like set his jaw and the what did you say the exact like term for governor was again?
the voice of the border lord.
You know, local voice of border lord is rational. That makes her dangerous. She has no honor and will do what is best for her and tribe, including as far as poisoning own clutchmate. We should be, she will not be. She will, she would not attack us for no reason, but she would gladly attack us with reason, regardless of any deal or honor that we have established between ourselves. Yeah, that's what I tell the rest of the party.
Okay, fair enough. With that in mind, do you guys follow these lizard folk as they're basically like kind of, I won't say guiding the ship because it's so comically big compared to them, but as they kind of swim around you as you head for the docks.
No, I'm just gonna check the straps on my armor and make sure that everything's all ship shape and ready to go.
Fair enough. Then in that case, docking is a bit of a challenge, but you've definitely managed it in worse places. Um, and while it's not built for ships of your scale, almost nowhere is, for one thing. And second thing, it is a decent natural harbor. So you're able to successfully at least pull up close enough that you don't need to do the whole dinghy thing to get in. And yeah, there's you can see a group of lizard folk warriors waiting for you, with one in robes held on a palanquin, um, waiting for you guys to go say hi or attack or whatever you want to do.
I kind of one of those
Well,
things
Go
where
inside and
I am like I'm I'm doing what the party's doing. Like especially right now, I'm kind of like especially in this territory. I'm trying to emphasize that like I'm not that I am with a Korovar rather than like a local that's not like floating around because for obvious reasons of I don't want to be seen as like an easy picking. I want to be identified with the new foreigners. So
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we
Fair enough.
just got to do the bare minimum to show that we're not here to attack. We're just passing through, heading inland.
Perfect. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. All right. So if you whether you go up to them and talk to them, or you just stand and stare. Their whole procession would come up to you one way or another. It's not particularly big or like incredibly impressive, but clearly local people of import. Um, and a lizard folk in front of the procession announces, kind of like a court herald, in their native tongue. You know what? They would try for Elvish because you're all elves, obviously. Um, they would say, "Papen Enzen, uh, Zalek's voice of the Border Lord, greets respected elves of fire."
Hmm.
And yeah, Papen Enzen, for her part, um, looks out and continues that greeting and says, um, basically asks why the elves of faraway Alum Cusp are here. If they are here for trade, she's happy to do so, or what have you.
Who amongst our ranks speaks Elvish? Because I speak Common and Giant. I have no idea what is going on.
I know Purser speaks Elvish.
Yes. So I'll like lean in next to Jotsuzo and say, how do we get them to understand that we're not elves? We're not from Alum Cusp.
He pauses for a moment before you likely better to establish that you are not Suatar or Volcador, but different elves. Uh, I, if you want, I can attempt to clarify.
Please do. If my complexion didn't make it obvious enough already, I think they need a local tongue to say the words.
He does. The thief elves did tend to have many people, even from far away. I'm presuming Bemi is here, but he's T-posing or the
He's very
equivalent.
quiet.
So
Yeah,
He
yeah,
could
he's
just be
very
hanging
quiet.
out on the ship
they
still.
may think that we are servants or slaves of Suatar. Yep. He, so with that, he steps up and gives like a like the equivalent of like the peace sign or whatever to the locals.
Okay. Yeah.
We appreciate your warm welcome and hostmanship, but we come not from the Suatar. We come from far away. I am a guide, uh, you know, or herald of these elves. These are Yucatan, from Kurvar, from far beyond the sea. They have smashed Suatar elves in numerous battles, taking ship and lands from them. They are, they are mighty. They are mighty kingdom. We
Okay.
come, we come to, uh, you know, trying to find, but basically, we have come to establish contact and relations between. Yeah, you well, no, he doesn't like them, but he wouldn't like deny the reality of it either. Between two mighty lands.
Okay. I mean there's definitely an element of to non uh to non Latesh lizard folk. They're pretty expressionless. There's a lot of the facial cues that you would watch for are just not there. So it's hard for you guys to pick up on it. But for Chizoto, you like there's the equivalent of a lot of raised eyebrows and confused looks when you mention like, yeah, these outsiders like smashed apart the most lethal force that they know about on the islands. Um, so there's some pause, especially a big part of why they assumed is there's a lot of people like looking, they're just going off the ship more than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
But
I would basically add like if I see like their confusion is like very much like uh if for those who have reasonable doubt point notice that there is no thief elf with us.
yeah, there's a few winces at that term, but nobody argues it. Like they don't actually seem offended at it, but there is an instinctive kind of looking over shoulder when you like, because I'm sure he drops that term. I feel like it's genuinely hard for him not to say it all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
it slips in. Sometimes he
yeah,
tries to be formal and use the actual term, but yeah, every once in a while, like he can't help it. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, they don't seem upset by it, but there is a like, oh shit, are they listening type thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, once there's a little bit of conferring among the warriors and the voice, and then she says, "Well, this is impressive. That your far away folk have come and wish to speak with the great border lord. What what are your folk called?"
uh,
Hmm.
yeah,
Mishanians?
that's one of those things where even Joseph's always heard a lot of terms and he's not sure which one's correct. Mishann, Sire, Koravar, like
Barbarians.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he
We are the descendants of Seer.
yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I passed down that they are that they are the line of a great warrior king known as Seer.
You're goddamn right.
Okay, yeah. You can see them trying to like sound out the strange foreign name, but they
You
do
can't tell
their
me lizard
utmost.
folk have a problem with a syllable that's half S.
Uh,
It's not that.
it,
It's
it, it, what do you mean it only has one syllable? Like
nope. Yeah,
that
it. But
I
they
feel
try
like
and kind of
I,
hammer it
I,
out.
Oh
yeah,
my
I
god.
imagine. I imagine it's the equivalent of walking up to like an Edwardian fucking gentleman who's like, "I am Lord, Edmund, like Chambersborough of the, from West Middlesex," and then like the other
Hey, how
person,
you doing? Hey, how you
my
doing? My
name,
name's Tony. How you doing?
my name is Jeff.
Yeah.
What?
So like I said, she kind of sounds it out, seems to get a pretty good grasp on it, and well, great warriors are always welcome, especially with the uh, festival of loyalty oaths. Um, if that is why your folk wish to come, and it is in peace or tribute, then they are welcome.
Okay, so I will say it'd be a bit of retcon, but I know it's something we would have fucking talked about on the ship because it's obvious. Like I would have explained that like on one hand, I'm willing to go in it for like, no, we're not here for fucking tribute. On the other hand, I would explain that probably be easier to like, not piss people off by vote. Yes, we are foreign barbarians here to give tribute. That is in the hands of a party.
Okay.
I
It's
am a fan of the ambiguous non-committal stance that leaves them believing
we're
exactly what they already do.
we're outlanders. We don't know about this.
Yeah.
Also, Balthasar does not serve.
Okay. I mean, so I will say, one of the few things that is just Telhani like cultural thing. A lot of these tribes I say were as different from each other as like they are from the elves. And one of the Telhani thing, which is the tribe that the warlord came from, is they're very big on like never actively thanking someone, even if like you're supposed to display it, but thanking someone is a sign of weakness. Um, but yeah, you can definitely get away with ambiguity here, where it's like, yes, we are here as long as you're not openly stating that you're here to make war. Um, the idea of a foreign power that they haven't met coming in to see their loyalty oath festival is like, yeah, they're definitely comfortable with that. So, um, yeah, if that's you can play it as ambiguous as you want. Yeah, that's up to you guys. You can role play it or not. But either way, she will get the message, and you guys could probably continue on your way without any issue. She's not going to stop you as long as, like I said, as long as you're not say, we're
I mean,
here to
we
burn the Capitol or something like that.
we know they're not going to stop us.
I mean,
It
they won't
occurred,
try to stop.
it just occurred to me. We spent the entire last like whole arc getting Purser to learn fucking Elvish, just for my character to end up as his fucking
As the lizard
translator
folk translator.
again.
I mean, it does help here that anybody of any import has enough Elvish or Giant, usually Elvish, to at least communicate, if a little
Yeah,
roughly. Like,
yeah, I know. I just find it hilarious.
yeah. Well, and
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
I don't intend for you guys to be here quite as long as you had to be in the Elvish North, but I don't, it's
Hmm.
D&D, whatever you guys want to do. Uh, uh, but yeah, if you make it clear that you're not here to throw hands, at least yet, um, they are willing to generously grant you the right to go up the river. And yeah, is there anything you guys want to do while you're here in town, before you go, or well, in village at least? It's a large village, but this is still in the village realm. Realm.
Um, if possible, I would like to try to do some basic like intel gathering, basically through the vein of like let us stop for a little bit and like while like basically finding the equivalent of like the local like skald and like what new songs have like been like written or the equivalent of written and that
Okay.
sort of thing to basically see if there's dramatic if like stuff at obviously I know like Cirxel is like obviously still king and shit, but I want to know if like any major shits happened that obviously would have been made into a song. So
Okay, okay. So asking around, you don't need to do a check for this level of info, at least initially. Um, there's a lot of, I won't say griping, but there's a lot of like irritation towards the last 6 months. It hasn't been particularly rough around Zalek because it didn't happen much in the south, but there is a lot of like cursing and warding gesture. Um, about 6 months ago and lasting up until relatively recently, less and less so. There was a pretty sizable rebellion that happened. The Border Lord just finished the last of putting it down. Um, the level of which, like, how thoroughly it's been exterminated, the exact details, things like that, you would need to do a check to figure out. But there was a rebellion within the last 6 months. Just like I said, that's just casual, like any discussion with them, it would come up as news of like, oh, it's still hard to get so and so, damn rebels type thing.
Either that or like, new songs about like smashing them, and that sort of
Yeah,
thing. Like,
and about Zalek's contributions of like, our mounts carried the so and so in, um, up the river or along the coast. Yeah, there's new songs about it. All very very pro Borderlord. Like there's not. This is not a town where the seed of rebellion took root.
oh yeah,
So
like
or if it did, nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
yeah. One moment. Do 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 do. Yeah. I have fuck all for investigation, so probably that's good enough for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean it gives you an idea what you're going into.
It
Does
could.
anybody else want to do anything?
No, Purser's just looking forward to getting out of this provincial nightmare and getting back on the road.
Ah, the open ocean is calling.
When
Take me
when
back
we
to the undead.
Yeah, Mercy really isn't doing anything either. She's kind of keeping close to the ship.
That's
when
fair.
we get back to civilization, that's the neat part. You don't.
If we're gonna spend like a day here, get the formalities out of the way, then maybe Balthazar will see like how they fight, just to study them. In case shit hits the fan upriver.
I
I'm
mean,
sure.
you
I'm
could
sure they have a
spend a day.
barracks or something.
You could spend a day, but realistically, Jizotozo only needs to spend like an hour to get that amount of information. And then you still have some charge left if you wanted to continue upriver for a little bit. Uh, but yeah, um,
Oh,
if yeah, go ahead.
that's the other thing. Probably goes without saying. I would ask like, what news on the river? In terms of like obvious shit, like hey, like there's a new Hydra around like the
Hmm.
That's
that sort of
fair.
shit.
That's
Like,
that's that's absolutely fair, especially for D&D. Um, the Atoyo River, the only thing, as always, their people here, it's a little less so than like the actual people living in, deep inland along the river, but as always, people are happy to talk about it. This year's flooding slash wet season has gone pretty well. A lot of like successful uh we'll say harvests where it's largely um almost most of the southern half of the island at least semi floods. It's kind of like was a regular it floods every wet season, and the lizard folk live largely off the bounty of um, fish and just other aquatic life, turtles, fish, things like that. And a really good wet season means that all their little, um, what's the term when you just set up like basically a catch point where as the waters recede.
Weirs.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, yep. Um, those will do very well this year. Um, but there's no stories about new horrific monsters on the river, blocking trade or what have you, because despite not being big ships, there is like just in the hour you're here, there's a steady stream of traffic coming and going on this giant muddy ass river. So
So
yeah.
that does lead me to a problem we might be running into. Rivers that are being extensively used agriculturally for like fish and like are bad for transportation because the little dams and weirs and things get in the way. And we are driving a cargo ship.
I
We
mean,
don't care about the dams in the way, but I'm sure all the people living alongside the river might have problems. So I'm going to keep an eye open and make sure that if we do come to an obstruction like that, we won't just bulldoze through. We'll figure
well,
it out.
here's the upside of them having to endure a border. I mean, I would say not in any way borderline, a tyrannical centralized government that's relatively new. Is if you guys are coming from like a potential ally or quote unquote tribute partner. By the way, the warlord here doesn't engage in anything as like big as subservient as trade. He just happens to give really big gifts and receive them in return. But the great thing about that is if you're important people, the locals can be mad about it, but you can just bulldoze through shit.
Well, the funny thing is, Purser is a good person.
Yeah, oh, I know. I'm just saying, like, you could get away with it pretty comfortably. You might have made a hard season for some, for random village X, but they don't have a lot of sway in the capital.
Yeah, if it comes down to it and it's the only way through, I'm willing to bulldoze through, but we'll look at any other options first.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And a good point.
Like, I don't want to like doom some poor lizard folk family to starve just because we wanted to get there 10 minutes faster.
Please, Papa, I'm so hungry.
Castle doctrine, and if I'm on it, what is it? Stand your ground, as in stand still while I put you in the ground. Peasants just drive through them.
It's Hal's moving castle doctrine, aka get the fuck away from my boat.
Yeah, exactly.
The poor like family, like watching the fucking tidal wave coming towards their like little shack, and there's all of us like speeding down the river.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that is a very good point about driving what you're driving, or sailing what you're sailing rather. Um, but there aren't any there aren't any objections raised here. Probably because this is a relatively prosperous, like this would be a pretty big settlement by local standards. So, um, but they are less beholden to the traditional like hunter-gatherer stuff. I don't
Fair
even
enough.
I wouldn't even call it hunter-gatherer. Is it if it's like you're sedentary? I'm not very good with terms, uh, but anyways,
The style you were thinking of was very popular in the Pacific Northwest.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where it's like there is a center of civilization. It's
Mhm.
just not like intensive crop agriculture. But anyways, you guys, unless there's any particular stuff you want to trade or do, and I will tell you, the magic item selection here isn't quite as impressive as it was in Elm Cusp, so it's a little trickier. But you're able to head up river, a bit more before you're
So you're telling me I can't find the Mace of Death on this place?
No, no, probably not. You can find good gloves, and it's not like they're without magic items entirely. It's just not anywhere near the sheer like you want it, we got it level that was in the Elven capital.
Oh, by the way,
Mhm.
Scott, thank you. The second Sam said go upriver, I immediately thought of Street Fighter, so
Uh,
The next lizard folk warlord wannabe is gonna feel it.
but yeah, sailing upriver is honestly a bit nerve-wracking despite pretty easy navigation. The muddy waters are swollen to their maximum height, given the whole end of the rainy season. But as Dan pointed out, and Purser's reasonably concerned about, there are several moments as you go by small villages built on the edge of the river where, like, yeah, they're doing pretty well, but part of keeping that going is you like doing an 18-point turn to get around the little like fish dam that they have set up.
Like cranking the throttle all the way down and
With
just
all of like half the village just watching in open-mouthed horror / fear as this cargo ship carefully works around their like their tiny little pissant village. But once it becomes clear that you're deliberately not trashing their place, like there are some grateful waves and uh, calls that are roughly, thanks, proving that yeah, like sure,
These
they're
Outlanders are not bad guys.
well, and also proving that they're under Telhoney thumb. These people do not identify with that culture yet. But yeah, other than that, it's a relatively simple thing. In the villages, you see they're surprisingly thickly populated. At least, it's not all in one spot, but there's just going along the river. It's clear there is a pretty big population here. For people who don't really do a lot with agriculture. There's fish drying racks near every home. Honestly, the worst part of the river, besides how careful you have to be on it, is the swarms of biting black flies that seem ecstatic to have people that they can feed on who lack scales. But that's only an issue for some of you.
Yep.
As
Yeah.
Mercy probably just stares at like Balthazar and Purser, who are just like twitching and desperately trying to hoard off the
Yeah.
swarms as like they crawl over her face completely unbothered by it.
Yeah.
I'll just set myself on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that all Chotsuso would do was like put on some of the newfangled like goggles he got, which protects the only spot of him that's like not like scaled, which would be his eyes, and like
Clothes cover
yeah,
any other bits. Yeah, any other tender
yeah,
bits, but
yeah.
yeah.
And if anything, he would look on in bemusement as he watches the others get swarmed by flies.
Claw at the air like madmen. Ah, the Korovar weak to something. Yeah, that's fair. Um, yeah, there's like I said, setting yourself on fire is a viable alternative, I guess. It, it solves one problem by invoking some others. Um, but regardless, like I said, that's about the worst thing
Hmm.
as you head up the river.
Actually, let me check my spells.
That-
I might have something for this.
This lasts a minute, but it'll be a minute of reprieve.
This is like freezing to death and starting to like light matches level of like
Yeah,
desperation.
yeah, that's fair.
When I run out of fire shields, I'm switching to warding wind, which is much less convenient, but still effective.
Constantly yelling through your
Jojo, like after a minute, Yucatan, why do you not just go inside ship? Oh, I forgot. You're driving, right? Or is
Yeah.
he,
I feel like Mercer
Okay, my
just
bad.
did the
I
most.
forgot. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I've like
Like,
got my hands on the control orb at the like deck.
Twitching like a horse covered in
what?
flies.
What? Why not have, I could drive ship or other. What? Why do you set yourself ablaze?
Because of the flies.
Well, yes, I know because of flies, but what? Oh, why do you drive ship?
Because it needs to be a spellcaster, Jotsuso.
Oh, like you see him like basically pull out like a large like pad that you can see like in hilariously broken like common, like writing down like ships like these require mages. Maybe not ideal, or maybe not good.
It's time to become a cleric.
Speaking of which, was there any Hail Marys from from Mercy?
No, so I don't have any spells that would help with that, and unfortunately, while I do have a proficiency, it is in land vehicles, not water vehicles.
All it requires is spell casting, basically, if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
okay.
Let me look at the exact.
Well,
Okay, well, in that case,
if we have to make checks for some reason, then proficiency is nice. Like doing
Yeah,
Can
well,
especially
Bel-
difficult
you
things in
know,
stressful situations.
Balthazar's kind of magical. I'm somewhat of a mage myself.
Does he have the spell casting feature?
No.
Yes, he does. He can only cast fist.
Friend Purser, you seem to be in a large amount of distress from these small biting insects.
No.
Friend Purser, I
he
could.
like turns to look at you well on fire, and like none of the flies are able to get close.
Uh,
he seems fine.
uh, I kind of wish I was a little bit. Okay, so, I mean,
I mean, it's not a lie. I'm perfectly fine.
For as long as
would
this
you like me
lasts,
to
I'm
control the
fine.
ship?
I'll be fine for quite a while yet, Mercy. Thank you.
You are on fire.
Yes.
Would you like me to heal you?
No. Thank you. I'm quite
Uh,
alright.
Yeah, Kyosuzo scratches his skin.
Hmm.
Yucatan. You, are you aware of fly disease? The thief elves sometimes got it when they came here. They became easy to track due to bloody droppings.
What?
As Balthazar vomits blood in the background.
It, non-wizard folk, flies can carry a disease that would cause Sulatar to either use magic cures or suffer from bloody droppings.
My magic will protect me from that. I'll be fine.
I see. You see him once again, like write down, like, Kuravar, have easy magic cure to fly disease.
Yeah. Other than Purser evaluating life choices, but I mean, realistically, it's
It wasn't a
at least
choice. I was ordered here.
well, yeah. But if you think about it, if you really think about it, is this any worse than when you were on foot in the middle of the Souls Light Swamp? Like, at least
Exactly.
he's he's had worse times since he got here. Um, but yeah. After I believe it's like 2 days of sailing on and off. Yeah, yeah. It's the near the beginning of the second day of sailing upriver. Um, you are coming in on Surexeral Izaru. Um, it's kind of difficult to tell initially, like when you get to the city. There isn't a point where the reed platforms that are the default building option for a lot of places turn to paved streets or where the occasional group of huts built around mangrove roots becomes towers. Instead, these things gradually become more and more frequent until the only free spaces to honestly paddle through are canals. At this point, it's very clear your ship is not going to fit on the canals that go through this city. You have reached the point where you will need to disembark. Um,
I mean, we're at our destination, so.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, it's
But
but
were
yeah.
were you
Go ahead.
implying that the entire city is like in canals, like Venetian?
Help them
Well,
leave.
it's interesting. The it is very Venetian in the sense that there are a lot of canals, but also in the sense that a lot of it is just floating, built on floating
Okay.
platforms. Like they pretty much took wherever there were big trees, they would build out around it. But they have regular platforms that don't have any support; they're just floating. They don't build a lot on those. Those are usually used for agriculture, which is primarily they grow a type of reed that while they don't eat, they use it somewhat for building material. But mostly they use it because the roots that dangle down attract fish. So their
Okay.
crops kind of attract what they actually eat. Um, but the edges of all these canals are filled with flowering water lilies. Every tree or outcropping with enough space has multiple buildings built around it. None of them are taller than 2 stories at the absolute max. Most of the city is 1 story. The main building material seems to be bamboo, with stone used to widen the platform bases when necessary. So yeah, it's the floating city name stands out pretty thoroughly. Um, like yeah, that makes sense. Um, but as you guys disembark, and there are kind of streets, like you can walk from place to place, mostly over the occasional bridge arching over the waterway. Crowds of lizard folk walking. A lot of them swim just as easily. Just hop into the water and swim. There's a ton of river traffic or canal traffic rather, with canoes and sometimes bigger than a canoe, but still built a lot like one. I'm not sure how to put it. Um, kind of vaguely outriggerish, but still not
Uh,
suitable for open ocean. I don't know.
Catamaran.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, like near the center of the city as you guys walk through, it's definitely grown to become this is a bustling urban hub. There's most of the lizard folk you see are dressed in loincloths or sometimes robes, but a select few have ornate clubs, shields, and jewelry. Um, these armed ones, you do notice they all have dyes carefully applied around their eyes, either red or blue. Um, and one sec here, we'll send some info to our lizard folk guide. Um, up to you how much you want to tell the party as you're kind of guiding them through the city. Um, but one thing that does stand out to all of you as kind of the crown of this floating city is um, above the center is a chunk of land floating atop like seemingly solidified clouds. Built on it's about 300 feet up, maybe 400, somewhere in that range. Uh, Built on it is a huge ziggurat crafted from blocks of the same stone that you saw on the along the coast of the island as you were coming in. Um, it's painted in bright blues, reds, and yellows in wild patterns, a lot of which look vaguely humanoid. But for once, it's not giant scaled, meaning, yeah, this isn't a ruin. This is freshly built, and it's pretty impressive for that. It is odd that it's sitting on a solidified cloud if it's freshly built, but
It,
yeah.
yeah, that is what I would define as odd.
But that just floats about, like I said, between 300 and 400 feet over the city. Um, and oh, you were BRB. I was wondering why. there wasn't any answer. But
Yeah, I'm back now, though.
yeah, I just sent that to you. It's up to your character if you want to fill the party in on like what the oddly dyed warriors are as they wander around the city. Um, but yeah, it is a city unlike any that you guys have seen so far on the islands.
Yeah.
He is
I
quite
would
nice.
I would say that Jotazo has mixed opinions because on one hand, he obviously he firmly thinks like one for one copying the Kuravar is the way to go. But this is a lot. Yeah, this is a step in the right direction. So uh, he, you know, his beef with Cirxel aside, yeah, the guy is going in the right direction. Just maybe not far enough.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, but yeah, how do you guys want to approach trying to get a seat at this festival? Apparently, it's in a couple days and it's open to the public, but you'll going in just randomly might not be optimal. Probably good to know somebody.
A patron.
I will say you guys are lucky in that sense. Assuming he didn't die on his way home, you do have a contact here,
Oh
besides
yeah.
your friendly immediate ally. You saved the life of a lizard folk who was pretty much just going along the river, looking for what he thought were just kind of random elf tribes, and you guys saved him just a little bit outside Mishann, way back in like session 3.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to try and name drop that fellow, which I would be impressed if any of you guys still had his name. Uh, but
Checking my notes. Rordaka.
hey, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Roydaka, absolutely. Um, assuming he's still alive and or he made it back, you could ask around for him.
Yeah, I think we can explore the city a bit and call in on an old friend.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay. With with what you know via your local guide, you know not to just like ask random schmucks because if you're in the city, they're probably more in the know than say somebody in like one of the most far-flung villages in the middle of the marsh. But that's no this is a pretty big city. There's tens of thousands of people here. They're not gonna just do you know John? No. Um but asking around, they will at least say that the if you're looking for someone who's, a warrior, an official warrior under the Border Lord, um, there's for the next few days, most of them, especially including the Claw Knights, are going to be doing training in the area directly underneath where the floating palace slash temple is built. And yeah, if you want to head there and uh,
Yeah,
get a just ask around for your good old friend Roar.
sounds good to me.
Okay. While you guys are going around, is there anything you guys wanted to do? Check out street food, that type of thing.
I think just getting the feel for the place, just hearing what people have to say, not like prying or anything, but just the vibe of the city.
Yeah, fair. You know what? That's fair. It for a city as big as it is, but I would say it's probably the most crowded city that you've seen thus far on the island out of all of three, if you include the one ruin. Um, it definitely the population here seems denser than Almcusp. Well, I don't know if denser is the right word. It seems bigger. We'll just go with bigger because the city itself is much more spread out. Because they don't build up uh, limitations there. But the for such a big population, they seem to be doing okay, especially since they don't have the usual grain crop surrounding city like you're, more accustomed to seeing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it seems like a fairly prosperous place. Um, there's some minor gripes among people about still having to deal with um, a lot of families complaining about, their their husbands or wives or just, their relatives are still out and so, mostly up north, dealing with like the immediate aftermath of the rebellion. Prices were a little higher. Um, you do notice that while they haven't gotten to the point where they're using currency regularly, it's still very much barter. Certain traders seem to have the official backing of the border lord, wherein he guarantees, they're not going to cheat you, in exchange for the prices being very steady. Basically, they act as like market steadiers. They're they're not going to cheat you, and they're not going to jack up the price on, dried salted fish when things are when things are a little bit more scarce. But kind of a government, like very much like the old government monopolies on salt in certain places.
Sure.
But yeah, anyways, overall the feel for the city seems like it's thriving. Most of the people you talk to or just over here are pretty excited about the coming festival. Very much feels like a, holiday type thing. Um, The ones that don't seem super enthused about it are mostly just not talking. And it's clear that they are not from the big city, just in that they're not dressed nearly as well, or some of them look a lot thinner. They don't seem thrilled about about the loyalty oath thing, but you know, if some people don't like a good time, that could be it. But when you guys are ready, if you head to the area directly underneath this floating palace thing. You see that there are several wide structures built on a rammed earth foundation that creates a pretty wide square, with a sizable circle in the middle of it. Um, you see that the buildings enclosed, they're the buildings. I don't know how I wrote this, but the buildings here mostly make up a large kind of open air space used for training scores of warriors. They have like buildings ringing around so that it's a space the common folk can't just look in and watch these people. That's, I guess, what I was trying to say. But while they aren't exactly standing at attention, some of the Claw Knights do approach you as you guys go up. Uh, One of them asks in very rough Elvish, "What want?"
Hmm. Well, there's a great deal of things that we want, but hmm.
So I would have taken time to, I think, explain, especially when they saw like some people being super excited versus people like not being jazzed about this whole thing. I would have taken the time to explain like the, the this fight's not really competition. This this fight is reminder uh, that on who has strength and who doesn't. Uh, Even those who make it towards the end of this uh, uh, tournament only exist to be beaten down by the claws of the Border Lord himself, to remind people of him and his inner circle power. This likely not apply to you, but it this only happened to remind others, of his power. Those
Elvis.
who impress may be given, honor as well, and may win glory, and maybe even seat by fire as New Claw. But that's not purpose. Purpose is to fully emphasize who rules and who is ruled.
Can outsiders join?
Would I have familiar experience of, I don't know, tribal the Vocador or the Sulatar participating for any reason whatsoever, or even
Uh,
Frightwing for that matter?
so as a group, they have never tried to participate, but people who aren't in any way part of this, like back when this tribe was still very much growing, it was an older custom for, if you could come in and show strength and you're not necessarily part of the system, basically you can win the right to ask for a favor. It's a worse fight than against the claws, so most people don't bother. But it is an older thing, and it's a popular thing they still do at the end of the loyalty oaths aspect, where it's like, does anyone want to fight fight this really awful fight in order to get a favor? So yeah, that is a thing. That's a custom. Now that's not joining as a claw. If you want to join as a claw, you could absolutely apply to that if you wanted, but that would be the equivalent of like gaining a seat at the royal, like not even gaining a seat, the equivalent of like becoming a samurai or a knight or something, like a personal retainer of a lord. So if you wanted to join into the system itself, you could apply to. They would be caught a little off guard, but you could do that. But if they do, they're gonna expect you to fucking live there. Like they're
Hmm.
they're they anybody who wins the honor of being a Claw of the Border Lord, their whole family moves to the capital and stays there under his watch until you're, you know, considered trustworthy enough to not need to just get killed. So still pretty direct with their politics. But yeah, I don't know how much of that question it answered, but I'm sorry, Purser, what you were in the process of saying something.
I was, and then my internet cut out because it keeps doing that lately, and then I completely forgot what I was saying. So just go on without me.
That's fair.
Save yourselves.
Yeah, it's the fly bite fever. It's kicking in. Um, yeah, no. The basically they asked what you guys wanted as you walked up to the training area for the Borderlord's military forces, and I believe you're looking for Rordaka, but you could be looking to do other things.
Yeah, I think finding Hordaka might be the best play. We need an inn.
Fair enough. Do you want to say that? Like, you don't have to do it in character if the internet thing is throwing you, but is that something you say to the I guess guards, the people on duty, whatever you want to say it?
Ah, I didn't realize we were still in that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the best way to find some random Joe Schmo.
Okay. Okay. Then how do you want to find him?
I have no idea. This is outside of Purser's comfort zone in many respects.
Yeah, I'm not even sure like how we would find a random guy, other than just literally like seeing the equivalent of like merchants or anyone like that would see a lot of people and asking if like uh this group has uh treated with a like a lizard folk ranger in the past uh that did many travels. Would you know of a Rodaka that
Yeah,
matches that
you could do that.
description? It's the best thing I could think of. But I would also like obviously we can't just like barge into the palace and shit, but it would I'm pretty sure at this point people saw us basically pull up to this fucking town in the equivalent of a fucking destroyer. Uh and
Yeah,
like
oh, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure someone it probably at this point it's not even us finding them and them finding us of like, so you're the guys who just pulled up a fucking destroyer by your town. Who are
Yeah.
you?
We pull up in a destroyer and we ask for like a one specific guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Man, the fuck Rodaka do to make him so mad?
Is that why they're not trading anymore? God damn. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, a part of me was assuming that you were like you kind of docked a little a little ways back from the actual city, but yeah, if you pulled right up, we'll do a little bit of retcon.
Uh, Well,
And
even if we didn't pull right up, like it's a busy river. Even if
oh
like
yeah, there's
we,
gonna be people talking. Absolutely.
even if we parked in like the gas station in the suburbs, like there's gonna be people sprinting like to
Somebody parked a
whoever.
tank at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the local
yeah.
stop and shop. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, then like as you guys wander around and like are baffled by the what you want question, um, event eventually they kind of just glance and shrug um, but as you guys are wandering away from the training area, uh, you do see um a lizard folk with. I mean, honestly, it looks a little bit like eyeliner. It's mostly like it's much more than that. It's like a red streak around both eyes. So it's a little more, but obviously a warrior in not much armor, but pretty serious shield, large war club, jewelry, just way more decked out and way more stuff than your average schmuck wandering down. Uh, jogs up to you, clearly like having run from the training area, and um, gestures and says, uh, "You are you are outsiders that came with grand ship, the firebinder elves. Yes."
Uh, Every time we have to explain this.
uh, you know, once again, basically automatically some, these, you know,
They're
uh, these
different.
are these are not Suatar. These are Yucatan, new elves from Kuravar, in distant land. We, we take ship. Uh, we're not with Suatar.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're mostly just going off the ship. But yeah, at that explanation, seems to ring a bell with the fellow, and says, "I am I am Grand Host leader within Claw Knights. Uh, I will I will show you I will show you our training. You are here for festival, yes? There was word sent along river that strange not fire elves were coming.
It
Did not
sounds
realize this
like
was you.
us.
But yes, Come, see the glory that is the Border Lord's knights.
And during all the starting stuff, I will try to see if I can get into that battle arena thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's part of the training area. So yeah, absolutely. Like if you're
Because if I win and I get a favor with the border prince, border lord, that will be quite useful.
yeah, I mean that'd be a good way to get info. You could literally just ask and be like, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much they'd tell you, but that would be a good way to get that if you don't want to do the like sneak into Royal Archives, assuming they have them. Um, but yeah, he's happy to show you into the training area, walking by the two guards who, try and look much more official when it's not just random weirdos coming up and asking. Um, uh, very much not really looking hard at you guys. They're just looking ahead as he leads you through. And very proudly shows off, you know, these are our claw knights. They are strong with traditional fighting, and he shows through like it's they're not as uniform as like a modern army would be. The most uniform thing about them is most of their equipment. Um, the like I said, the red dye across the eyes seems to be the main marker. Um, but they're doing pretty decent. You would judge that they're probably not quite as skilled at dishing out damage as your average like clan warrior. But they seem pretty sturdy. Like a lot of them just take flat out blows that would knock somebody down as just part of the training. They don't seem to be real big believers in uh, training wheels. And these are our water knights. Uh, it's the Border Lords has great wisdom in investing in creating these. And you see the water knights are still pretty. They're not dressed like pure casters for the most part, but you do see magic being used usually to augment or to work to synergize pretty well with martial stuff. None of it's probably higher than second level, but it's very much a blending of martial and magic. You do notice there's no distinction between a little bit of arcane stuff. Most of it's divine or druidic. A little bit of arcane, but um, that
Taking
seems
whatever
to
they
be.
can get.
Yeah, like they're not distinguishing when they give the title Water Knight. It's just, can you do magic? Can you fight? All right, sign here type thing. Um, there's occasionally one or two who seem much more along the lines of pure caster, but they're pretty rare. And they're mostly distinguished by blue dye across the eyes, or just a marker across, as well as once again jewelry, better clothes, that type of thing. But as you guys are walking around, um, you see a familiar hulking figure. Once they like stop and take a pretty good blow from their opponent before roaring and like lashing at them with their tail, um, and then breaking away and not quite running but coming over, and you see um, the let's see. Yeah, like I said, the main description for Rordaka is hulking. Not necessarily taller, just a very thickly built lizard folk, pretty heavily scarred. But his name meaning Tracker of Flowing Sense, comes up, and unlike last time, he himself has a fine coating of red dye on the scales around his eyes. Um, and he says in Elvish, which the other one was speaking Elvish as well, presumably for your benefit, but his is probably the least accented you've heard here. You are here! I had thought after much time you would not come. It is good that Mishann comes to see the glory of Suruxoral Isru during the loyalty vows. City is most impressive now.
Indeed, it is. been looking forward to seeing it with my own eyes.
Yes, it is best that you come now. I have become Claw Knight. He gestures towards the eyes, puffing up his chest quite a bit. I have home outside barracks. Uh, I offer space there. You may stay.
We thank you for your hospitality and congratulations on becoming a knight.
Uh, he, he lo- and there's a moment of like he starts a bit when you talk. He does. He doesn't. He probably just assumed you were some type of weird Outlander magic thing. Um, but yeah, he just kind of blinks a few times. Yeah, yes. Well, no, thanking is, well, yes, it is good to be thanked. But, um, no, you should be, you are representatives of Mishann. You should think very quietly here, yes?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about that part of your customs. It is good that you are now a knight, and you have done yourself and your clan proud.
Yes. Yes. Now you, uh, see, glances back, and to his credit, he's not just saying, "The fuck is this thing?" But you can tell the question is burning at him. Uh, but um, if if I may, as he as he doesn't quite bow, but like inclines his snout towards the fellow who was guiding around, who looks very happy to hand you off to someone because these you still didn't know why the hell you were really here. Uh, and yeah, it's Rordaka is seems like he's mostly done with training for the day. He does have to go back through and basically finish his a couple rounds with other knights, but that does give you time to check out the sort of arena. It's more like it's a very clearly defined open air circle, sunken down a little bit. Not quite stadium seats around it, but there's a pretty wide space that's a little elevated for a lot of people to sit and watch if they wanted to. Um,
Hmm.
that's not where most of the training's happening, but you do see where that's probably where they're gonna do the oaths if they do it. Looming over all of you is this. I'd say it's probably about 1,000 foot square circle of like from underneath it's just cloud, but like seeing it from the side, yeah, there's like earth basically piled on top of solidified cloud and this ziggurat built on top of it. It just kind of looms over the city.
It is an
But
impressive edifice, if nothing else.
yeah, like if you say that while looking up at it, Rodaka looks, yes, that is Border Lord's palace, uh, built from a relic taken honorably during his time in his youth. He built it to become both his palace, a temple to our ancestors, and also it is our best way of, well, conquering any of those who dare oppose. He nods
Hmm.
sagely.
How big did you say it was?
It's so basically the space on it is the raise land spell, just on top of a cloud.
Okay.
Yep. 1,000 foot circle. So
It's it's no Tower of the 12, but they've done good work here.
yeah. Um, but yeah, Rordaka does lead you through the streets to his home, which is a small walled space shaped like I guess half a square would be the best way to put it. Part of it's buildings, and the other part is walled gardens, kitchens, storage. Um, the he shares it with his family, a wife and 3 children, and another Claw Knight and her family. he's quite proud of this and shows you through it, introducing his wife, Pan Penzin, and his 3 children, Sioa, Pili, and Solchmet, as well as giving a respectful nod to his neighbor, who is the senior knight of the 2. He then shows you to the wide room that he has for guests, saying, careful. He remarks pretty casually that it's a shame his father um, isn't still in this world to see his new home and rank. He doesn't seem particularly broken up by this. Maybe it's an old death. But once the tour is done, once again, he just seems very proud showing all this off. Why does Mishann send you now? Does your tribe wish to ally with Border Lord Surexel or give tribute?
I don't know if we have any appropriate tribute, and we don't have Ludger with his box of trade samples.
I, I mean, he's Ludger. I feel like he might have sent a box along, but it's probably back on the ship. Unless
That's
someone
fair.
wanted to bring it along.
Yeah, I think Ludger would have like arranged like that to happen, but it's up to the rest of the party if it would have brought it.
Yeah, I think if we knew beforehand to expect like some kind of gift-giving thing, then it would have been reasonable to take it. Although
and
we may
Mercy
have
would
left
have
it on the
taken it.
boat. Okay.
No, Mercy would have taken it with her.
Okay. Yeah, so you've got like a big metal box. Well, a big box filled with nails and stuff strapped to your back, jangling. That probably adds to the overall like confusion about what the fuck Mercy is.
And
It
honestly,
sounds
that's
like
part of the
metal
reason
when it
why I said that
moves.
Mercy was the one who took it.
Yeah. Well, and so, but yeah, as so your answer is like trade or tribute or ally. Like, what do you say to that? Because and remember, this isn't an official thing. This is like a knight who's just like,
Yeah.
oh, why are you visiting the city?
Yeah, we seek trade and friendship.
Ah, well, those are good fish to catch. Especially with the border lord. He it's unwise to make an enemy. Good to ally. Um, well, if you wish to um, offer your tribute, the festival is the best place for this. It's split into 4 parts. The first is a showing of the best knights. That's us. We will be killing a captured beast for the glory of the Border Lord. Uh, then there's the trial of the champions. Every tribe has their selected champion fight each other first, and then a knight. And if they get that far, they face off against one of the Border Lord's claws. Um, Then every voice of the Border Lord comes forward to swear loyalty to him and receive his words for the year. And the last event is the Challenges of the Wild, where anyone can try to catch the Border Lord's eye by showing strength against powerful monsters and spirits. You should all enter. You showed strength and virtue in aiding me and my mount against those scavengers.
It wouldn't be inappropriate.
No, that is open to all. You are strange, but if you come as allies, it would be perfectly appropriate.
Well, what exactly does this entail? Any restrictions?
Anyone may enter as long as at least a warrior vouches for you, and you have the word of a claw knight, much better than just warrior.
Okay.
I will put my word at your backs as long as uh, you, you would do well, yes?
We certainly wouldn't dishonor your endorsement.
Ah, good, yes. Uh, well, then, uh, yes, I will, you may have my word at your backs.
Yep, and I'll give him like a hearty slap on the shoulder and give him a nod.
Uh, he just stares for a minute and kind of glances at Juzotsuzo. Um,
It
uh,
is a Yucatan form of affection.
yes. And he just like it's not quite a punch to the back of the head, but it is a full full palmed slap that like to the back of Purser.
Whoa.
Yes. Well, if you do well in at least 3 bouts, and I am sure you will, you can ask for a boon directly from Borderlord. This would be best time to offer tribute as well.
Well, we
And
do have a
even if you
tribute
fail,
prepared, and
you have a space
oh,
at Borderlord's table. Although that, well, fail and live, but as long as you are living after taking on challenge, you have a seat at Borderlord's. Um, I guess he wouldn't say table. Seat at Borderlord's fire.
well, I think we'd best prepare ourselves. Yes.
Yes, I will leave you to prepare. It is always wise to prepare before grand fights. It is good to see you of Mishann again. And uh he's not entirely sure when it's appropriate, so he doesn't slap anybody again, but he does nod a little bit and walks out and goes to have
Yep.
dinner with his family. And yeah, what do you guys want to do? You have, I think, yeah, you have 2 days until the festival officially begins. It's on the 11th, and it took you a couple days to get up or so. Yeah.
I think winning this competition might be the best way to, at least a very good way, to approach Kulthsad's requests. Getting the ear of the border lord would definitely let us probe and determine his intentions.
Friend Purser, do you think that it would be permitted for me to have my belt of giant strength?
I wouldn't begin to understand the complexities of these
Would
dueling
I
procedures.
grasp whether or not magic items are allowed or not?
Well, they're allowed. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
as long
And
as it's not like you point something at them and they like vaporize. And even then,
yeah.
they're going to be more
They're not
along the
going to tell
lines of,
you no.
yeah, they're going to be more along the lines of like, can I have that? Or like, how do you get those? They're not going to
Yeah.
tell you no on it.
Yeah. With that, just as it, yes, it would be wise. You must understand that part of this is not just physical strength, but resource strength. The claws and Cirxel have many items of their own, and they use it to establish their superiority over the rest. It is part of the reminder of who is ruled and who rules.
Oh, thank you for that explanation, friend Jojo's.
I hope these aren't some primitive duels to the death we're engaging in. I don't want to
No,
kill anyone.
that would eliminate point. If you kill father, son will become angry, will want to resist, will want to fight. If you
Hmm.
take father and beat him till he is bleeding and broken, he will, he will learn his lesson. Or so Cirxel thinks.
A horrifying analogy, but a measured response. I understand.
Yeah, obviously lizard folk are hard to read, but this is definitely like Jojozo does not like this game.
Hmm.
These games. He is he is careful because he knows that uh everyone who's on the right side of it thinks this is awesome, but yeah, he was part of a group that before his village got like fucked over, were the ones getting like the shit kicked out of him to remind him who's in charge. So he does not like these games.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
how much of the big boss guy's backstory do we have?
mm, I would say Jotazo knows at least the rough outline, which is about 20 years ago. Um, the future Border Lord came back from wandering the islands, meeting with the other peoples on them. I won't say trading, but working with them, working for them. Supposedly, he even worked briefly with some of the undersea folk. He came back with a lot of knowledge and power and artifacts. Some of this is a little bit probably inflated because the
Hmm.
official stories are deliberately hype manish, but um, he came back and basically turned his already warlike tribe into a powerhouse, started absorbing nearby tribes, and just kept going. Um, and as far as warlords go, he's been one of the most successful in memory for the Lutetia people, the crocodile lizard folk. But he's still very much a warlord. Like
Hmm.
he hasn't quite jumped past, maybe his heirs can make something out of it, but it's still very much a like strong man build as far as government.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah,
yeah,
that's common knowledge.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, when explaining all this, Jotsotso, obviously not right now because who were around, he would very much explain like his Jotsotso naturally, he's not stupid. He's not going to go like he's an idiot who doesn't know how to rule.
Hmm.
Jotsuzo's whole thing is like one day he'll die and everything will fall apart. That's you know that's why his system you know uh is poor. You know
He's-
we our people need a system that it can go from father to son and grandson without collapsing.
Oh,
he-
I understand the dangers of power-hungry warlords very well. We had a Karnathi warrior in our party.
But yeah, the
Uh,
you know
yeah,
uh
a Carnathi. They're all right guys. Pretty cool guys. Yeah.
I believe I believe a Karnath it was I believe it was the Karnathi who uh butchered the thief elf overseers of the mine that I was in. Uh, they seemed like brutal, efficient warriors. But I have also seen
Yeah.
the others, the seer ones fight almost equally as if not more ruthless. I believe between the two, it is down to man versus one group or the other. But both seem to fight in a way that I can't help but respect.
Sirens aren't known for their trickery, but they're clever fighters to a man. But
You see him basically like pause and like, you must understand, my people have for long we we fight, uh, we charge, we roar, we face the enemy head on time and time again. And while the Suatar dominate us. Whereas, not only that, our people, we fight to take prisoners, to establish dominance, to win glory in battle. What I saw the Kuravar do, whether Seer or Karnat or what have you, they seem to fight purely to kill. Pure, war at its essence. It's yeah.
It's touched on some deep philosophy that Purser's unsure of how to broach.
Well, I love that like a tribal person sees total war. Fuck, this is awesome. Especially to like people who some of you are vets of the First World War. It's like we need to start doing that shit here.
Well,
Awesome.
it's basically, hey, yeah, my people's whole thing is for 10,000 years, we've been getting fucking dunked on by, like, these fucking assholes that, like, basically fuck with us every single time we have, like, a moment of weakness. And then we saw a bunch of, like, World War One guys come in and just trounce them. And not even because, like, magical superpowers, it's, hey, if your average lizard folk learned how to fight like this, maybe we can finally get the Sulitar to leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah, I like that perspective of like they don't fight to survive like the lizard folk do. They fight to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we should do a little bit of digging around before this festival. I think we need to ask around, maybe find some merchants or mercantile lizards, and see who has the most to gain from this warlord's expansionistic tendencies. And show off our own wares as well. Make some friends.
Yep. And when that fighting starts, I'll join. And what that favor is gonna come in handy.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. So the next day, if you want to head out and about and establish ties, probably with your handy local guide acting as a interpreter, I would say most of the traders here would have rough, so some rough Elvish, enough to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Not smoothly, but uh, it is a very big high. Any traders here, especially ones you want to talk to, are going to be pretty high level. There's a lot of low level ones, but
Yeah,
ones you would want to
the
talk
like
to.
inter-regional kind of trade that we're looking for is
Exactly,
in its
yeah,
proto stages here, I
yeah,
think.
and they're going to like. It's a point of pride that they trade with the occasion with the warship from Alan Cusp that comes in.
Yeah, we can lean on that.
Yeah. So the first, like the moment you guys start asking around, you do get pretty good responses. Mostly merchants coming in and saying, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but thank God you're here. We're really overstocked. When is Nixavaro going to start buying slaves again? Because you haven't been by in a while.
Uh,
The rebels we're really overstocked right now. It's not a good idea to have all these people here. When are you going to start buying again? Because it dropped off with Biapo, and Nuxavaro isn't buying at all, and they don't know what the fuck happened. They need to move these
Biapo.
rebels.
Biapo, huh? Where's my I wonder, did Biapo ever like manually take do stuff with the slave trade, or she just reaped the rewards
Oh
of
yeah,
that?
no, they largely resold, because Nuxavaro really got aggressive if they tried to do a lot of wheeling and dealing. But they did have some limited contact directly with the island themselves. So, yeah.
That's what my good friend have any info on this? Is he was
Uh,
their
yeah,
main patron.
I imagine the voice inside your head is the equivalent of like Deep Rock Galactic, like constant painting, like we're rich, we're rich, we're rich.
I mean, it's a little bit of that and a little bit of the yes, 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 mushroom. Get on with it. Yeah. So yeah, as far as uh I'm Lord Tons of Fun. Now I'm starting to brain fart in his actual name. Um, as far as the fellow that you've trapped, whose soul you've trapped. Well,
He,
he trapped, but still.
yeah,
Death
he's
Um,
fucking
itself.
dead. We don't have to remember his name.
sure. But yeah, as far as that guy, he wasn't usually directly involved, but he did like that was a big point for them as far as bulk trade, and he knew the name of captains, slash clan warriors who had their own ships who were, I won't say allowed to, but they're able to get away with some limited direct trade. So yeah, you have like the names of some merchants to approach who were trading with Biapo. And you could very much play it off as like, hey, I'm the rep from that clan. Uh, we are looking to buy again, or we're not, or however you want to play it. But you could definitely get some more detailed information by playing up as, yeah, I'm the rep from there. Tell me what's going on, type thing. You could play that up.
So
You're asking Balthazar to say he's a slaver, and I don't think he's going to do that, but he'll gladly take their info.
Okay. Well,
I
I mean,
am. I don't want to pose as like Biapo or Nixravo or whatever, but I am curious if we could buy a bunch of slaves.
yeah, you could. It's definitely doable. Right now,
Um.
it's kind of a kind of a saturated market, to be honest. Like I
Hmm.
said, the people buying it just fucking stop buying it without explanation or warning. So they're like Nixavaro just stopped showing up in their giant ass warship. They're really glad you guys did.
Right.
I mean, you've made it clear you're not with them, but word hasn't trickled through too much that you're a different group. They just see the warship. They're like, oh, thank God. How many do you want to buy? We've got them.
See, I'm willing to like lead these guys on and maybe even buy some slaves, depending on how much we have to trade.
Okay.
And like, I really want to dig like how are they feeling about the warlord expanding? Like, they're suffering with the elves no longer trading with them, and like we're not going to be super interested in buying slaves in the future with all the laws changing. You know how it is, and maybe they're not super happy about the warlord doing this stuff.
I mean,
Just
they
trying to.
were, but at the word of like,
Hmm.
oh, you know how it is for laws changing, that gets blank and then horrified stares as it sinks in you've had some kind of regime change, is what they're hearing, because that they understand to their bones.
Yep.
And like a couple times the question just boils down to like their equivalent. They do have manners, they're just very foreign. But once that you get through that, the question multiple time comes up. So you're not going to buy any? Like from here on it's going to drop off. They're horrified at that. Because that was a specifically the merchants you're talking with, that was the main
Hmm.
foreign thing that they were selling, so to speak,
Yeah, I
was
just want to use
basically
that as
political
the like.
dissidents. Yeah.
I want to use that as the spike to really get in and figure out what they know.
Yeah. I mean, so as far as what the merchants know, well, like I said, like you said, proto merchants. They handle both merchant stuff for personal and state wealth, and also handle a lot of supply line stuff. It offloads some of the pressure. They answer directly to certain clause, things like that. There's
Hmm.
a very vague difference between needs of the state and personal stuff in this kind of system. But yeah, let's see. I would say as far as what they're willing to share, given that level of shock, is one that puts further expansion in a very different light because they had a market. Now, like, They're not entirely sure, and it all like it does come back to it's like, so you're not willing to buy, but what about clans like they? What about so and so clan? Like they're trying to
I
find
mean,
some way to sell here because
w-
they have an immediate problem, and that's way too many people in bondage bunched up.
I'm
Like,
sure that the elves will continue to buy, but not soon, and not in the same numbers with Nuxaravo having bad times right now.
yeah, I mean that's at least yeah, that seems to relieve them a little bit because that means the markets didn't just die.
hmm
But
it's just going to
yeah,
be suffering some problems in the future, and
yeah, yeah. It's,
just
Yeah. Yeah, Mishann does not have a navy to do the equivalent of like the anti like slavery patrols that Britain did in like the 1840s and shit, but
you do have a navy. It's parked like a mile outside the city.
oh yeah, I know, but one ship cannot blockade an entire fucking slave trade, especially
Yeah,
people that
I
we
know.
are not like, you know, we were able to basically get a seat at the table. We can't stop the equivalent of a fucking transatlantic slave trade.
hmm
Like,
Now with that attitude,
that's probably something for our children and grandchildren to figure out. But
Yeah.
I will know that so
So
like Jotoso is not, if Mishann wants to throw money at the lizard folk to basically facilitate like the equivalent of mass immigration of people who really fucking hate Cirxel, he does not see a problem with that as
that
long as they're not slaves when they get there.
so
Like,
that is a bad idea, because that just means we'll buy all of his malcontents, and then he doesn't have any dissenters anymore.
That's
yeah,
yeah,
But
that's
but
what he's been
on
hoping
the
for.
other hand, if he finds out he can't get rid of them, he's just going to butcher them. Like,
Yeah.
he, uh, Jotaro knows basically that from personal experience. So
Yeah, it's up to you.
I
That's
it's not
the
his money, but yeah, that'd be something that he would probably explain.
I am interested in perhaps individuals. If these are mostly like the rebels and like the people that he's been conquering,
Mhm.
there might be some useful people in that group that like know what's been going down
Okay.
more than just like we were fighting and he captured us.
Okay. Now I will say typically like flat out leaders of those rebellions were
Right.
very publicly executed in a pretty bad way usually. But as far as like people who were still in leadership positions, yeah, they would still, that wouldn't necessarily be a guaranteed death sentence.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna browse through the wares as much as it
okay,
disgusts me to say that, and
okay.
keep an eye peeled for like the ones that are billed as like skilled fighters, clever and quick, like
Yeah.
the smart ones, and
No,
the
no,
ones that would have been paying attention. And
they do have stuff like that. They did go out. They did learn to build stuff like that because one of the big buyers for skilled fighter tag was usually Pekway for their
hmm
mines. Um, they wanted they didn't want clever, but they wanted skilled fighters um, for various reasons. Uh, so yeah, that's definitely an option here. Here we go. Da-da-da-da. Okay. So a slave, as far as purchasing with, trade goods or even just coin, they do know what to do with coin. Like they don't use it
hmm
a lot, but it's like
but
they
like
can
they can
buy
use it to
things.
trade with the elves or whoever.
Exactly. That's the beauty of coin, especially, made from precious metals. I would say a slave is 7 gold, for
Okay.
something proficient with a skill, and it is 3 gold for just labor.
Okay.
Yeah. What is this?
So I'll say maybe 20, and then we'll talk to them and figure out what they know.
Okay.
Basically, I'm trying to approach this from the direction that, like, Kolthasad wouldn't have asked for us if it was something he could just come in and browbeat people until they told him what he wants. Like, he needs someone, like, down in the ground, like, asking the questions that he can't, talking to people that he can't get close to, and just piecing it all together.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
a- as good at investigating as I'm sure he is, he's also,
A little out of
like,
touch.
oh,
Given that,
yes.
given
I
that he
wanted to
shows
try and
up
phrase it politely.
in golden fucking robes and just like uh casually changes back into a dragon before leaving. Yeah. He's
Yeah,
yeah.
my supposition here is that he's looking to see if they're expanding and triggering the curse. And he can't just swoop down, say, "You don't get to do this anymore" to conquering warlord man, because that never goes well.
I mean, he could, but it doesn't really go with the modern dragon philosophy of like no
Hmm.
direct intervention. We know what that feeds. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get my fingers in all the pies and see what they tell me.
Okay. Well, buying those 20 slaves, and you're going for skilled or just like, I guess generic.
I think the skilled ones, because I'm looking for, like, the clever ones that weren't in the leadership, like, enough to pay attention, not just, I can't wait to fight today to swing my axe kind of people.
Gotcha. Okay. That gives you a pretty good idea of how the rebellion happened, key points in it. You do get a pretty serious wealth of information from it. You get that it happened. It was started by largely by a pseudo-religious movement where a lot of the priests, the traditional priests and priestesses who commune with the ancestors, said that the turbulence in the waters was, turbulence among the people in the land beyond, which is the oceans. The
Mm.
sign that they were at war. That was a sign that even the afterlife is displeased with what's happening. It's caught, what's happened here on the main on our island is causing the world beyond to go into turbulence. So it's more than just physical. If we don't solve this, then it's gonna like even we won't even be able to rest peacefully in the afterlife. So that's what got it going. And a lot of tribes were just looking for an excuse anyways because nobody likes this level of, you know, you provide tribute
Hmm.
and like it has not been a pleasant or light touch leadership. So that was pretty much how it got going. It did okay, but they never really came up with a good counter to the main tactic, which is literally that palace, that's not stationary. The warlord loads up his army on it and flies it over and apparently just airdrops people down into it, which they drop oddly slowly when they come out of it. Um, and yeah, that's usually the end of any like mass
Yeah,
discipline group. Um, Guerrilla
those.
stuff doesn't really work when the other side's willing to just slaughter their way through people. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
yep.
those omens about
I
turbulence,
beat
how
you to
long
it.
have they been going?
Those have been going on for about a year and change. Um,
Okay, so after the plague and the weird priest figure going around doing weird shit.
I would say it matches what you heard from that Sahagwin that you captured when you were
Oh,
sailing down to
that was a
to
while ago. Jeez.
yeah, it matches where you heard that among the so-called Kraken Kings of the Sea of Lost Souls, um, the one basically whichever one of them claimed the oceans around these islands as his territory has been getting his teeth kicked in by some type of
Hmm.
lich queen or something. But
Oh, that
yeah,
sounds lovely.
yeah, a kraken lich. That's interesting.
So I'm gonna be real with them. Like once I get them separated from like the slavers and we're talking and interviewing,
Mhm.
I'm gonna just get down to brass tacks and ask them what they want.
Uh, they want to kill the border lord, but barring that, they want to try and like get their families and get away from the island. As far as they're concerned, it's all is lost, or at least the vast majority. Like a couple of them are like, if you let me go, I'm gonna go out into the jungle and try and do guerrilla shit. But
Hmm. So
mostly, if you hired clever ones, they just want to get off the island. They don't think there's any point in fighting at this point.
so surviving like members of the villages and whatnot would have like escaped into the jungle and hunkered down. I'm guessing, right?
Somewhat, yeah. Like it was either submit or hide in the swamp slash jungle
Hmm.
until you eventually just get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think while we're here, we might as well take a look around and see if we can locate any of the family members, at least for the ones that we got, and maybe some other like identifying people we could get, and
Okay.
see what we can do to help. But
Okay.
I don't want
Yeah,
to
most of
rock the
them.
boat too much.
Yeah, yeah. The children, by and large, at least the ones that were real young or still, hadn't hatched yet, uh, those were just taken and kind of mixed in the barracks and are probably going to be raised as this tribe, like part of this tribe's warriors. That's a big thing
Right.
that they do is they kind of part of why they tend to get rebellions so much is they just take
Hmm.
kids. Um,
I'm not super optimistic about being able to like reconnect families here.
but
It's
you
just
are able to get some. Let me roll a dice here. We'll
yeah. Admittedly, the descriptions are going to be going to Jotaso because these people all look the same to Purser. Sorry to say it, but
Part of
yeah, that's
this,
fair.
obviously I don't have a shit ton of money, but Jojo, while we're going around doing this, he's trying to get a vibe for the people that are so full of piss and vinegar that he knows they're not going to last like a fucking week in the Sulitar system.
Out of
Like
okay, out of you mean
that,
out of
and
the ones.
particularly the ones that look particularly bright, that would have been just like if they make it like end up getting like sent to like the worst hellholes immediately because they instantly go, that guy's a future fucking problem. Like,
Okay. Um,
uh,
so out of the family members thing, you're able to find about 10 more family members, all being sold
oh,
for unskilled like
okay.
prices.
Yeah, we can
Because they're,
definitely
relations.
hmm. You said it was what, 3 for those ones?
Three, yeah, 7 for skilled, 3 for unskilled. And Josuzo, if you could give me a persuasion, or you know what? Uh, Perception check initially to like, or perception or investigation to kind of suss out slash just listen for issues. Okay, yeah, you're able to just not really actively asking, but just sitting in the market as distasteful as it is, and looking, ignoring the street food. And it's not like this is the only thing these people sell. It's just their main export to the main island.
Hmm.
But with that, you're able to spot, I would say, probably of the they're they don't let too many of them be stored in one place, but they're about at like a little over capacity. That's why everybody's so nervous. I'd say you're able to spot about a dozen. Like these guys are gonna be a problem. Like they're going to be like get off the boat and immediately this is new place away from the homeland type thing, and not stupid, but they are going to try and run. Or ones who are just they strike you as clever, but depending on where they end up, that could be good or bad. So based off the two things you said, like I said, you find about a dozen.
Okay. Shit. I realize that I have like fuck all persuasion. Hmm. I would. No one else in the party, would probably be able to like barter with them effectively either. Shit. Because I would try from an angle of like, the Sulitar are like, basically like you know that those aren't going to sell well to the Sulitar.
I will
You know,
say, if you're
and
looking for someone to help you barter,
you are also like, you want them out of your hands as much as possible. Like,
I- if you're looking for someone to help you barter, I will say Balthazar, maybe not great, but if he lets someone else take the wheel, you'll have advantage on the check. If Bal's willing to let the voice in his head help out with the bargaining.
I don't. I let him go for 10 minutes. Now I'm on top of a skyscraper out to bomb it.
with with a lizard folk with a lizard folk prostitute screaming at you. Yeah, damn it! Every time. Yeah. Um, but yeah, if that's up to Balthazar if he wants to do that to help. But if he does, then
To help
you
to help the group, even though I can't stand this shit. I'll let the man speak.
okay. Yeah. Um, then in
I'm
that
not a
case,
big fan of the government.
you know what? It's either you have advantage or you could let that guy lead negotiations with you as the translator. It's up to you, Jotazo.
uh, what's your plus, Balthazar?
For
The plus,
persuasion, it's a 4, but I'll have advantage because of big man, unless he's got his own persuasion.
you would be using his, and it's a +6. So
Okay, that sounds a lot better than my +1 with advantage.
okay, then let's see what he gets. Rajan, that's it. Let's see what Rajan gets. 23. So yeah, Rajan is he wheels and deals, and he very quickly picks up what how you wanted to sell this, and he also adds in very casual, like, oh my goodness, look at this, and he'll like go over and show show something they already know, but how obscenely overcrowded these holding pens are. They're not actually that bad,
I mean,
but
I was already leaning into like, that these, you already have to keep an eye on this one more than it is worth. You want him gone as much as I do, like that sort of thing. So,
yeah, he leans into that with like what seems to you like really over the top ways of doing it, but he very much goes over and like taps on the bars and is like, "Oh my goodness." And like using Balthazar's like astral self thing is like able to half pull some off. Oh wow, look how weak these are. That's unsettling. That that type of thing. And yeah, you're able to get a bargain price. It's like, fine, just buy them. Fuck. Uh,
how much?
Half price.
Half
To
price?
take the worst of them off. And I would say they would be it would be like, yeah, we'll say 3. It brings the like they were all skilled fighters. That's the main problem. So it
Okay.
brings it down from 7 to 3.
Okay, so 36 total. And that I am willing to pay. Okay. Yep.
And
Like,
Balthazar,
uh,
you get the wheel back, by the way. He doesn't just stay in control of your characters.
Good. He's nice enough to at least not be excessive.
I would like also put a hand on his shoulder. Like, I will buy you a drink for this. That is Kuravar way of saying thanks. Yes.
It's a way, yes.
Uh, but yeah. Obviously, I assume that basically when we do this, we take them to the ship,
Yeah,
and
that's
on
probably
the
the safest
way, I
thing.
would very much talk to them about Mishann and Amatlax, and basically like also tell them about like the things that I've seen and how like you know you know the place we are going will teach us new way, better than thief elves, better than Cirxel, a way for us to uh, be great country, without uh, without brute kings and without yeah, thief elves breathing down our neck. Uh,
I would say go like none of them are gonna disagree, because like you just got them out of the smarter ones know how fucked they were. Um, it's like yeah, it's like the guy who knows he has a temper and like
yeah.
this is gonna be a
Yeah,
problem.
I know it's one of those things where we're going to nod and smile now, but
Yeah,
it's definitely part of a whole like, and probably one of the things I would also do is I would basically try to find the equivalent of like a semi decent meal that I could take back to the ship for each of them. To basically like it's only a small touch, but part of basically the idea of like this is the beginning of a new future for you. Also, hearing out if they know of family members and the like. You know, we may not be
these
able to get all of
ones,
them, but
the problematic ones don't have, by and large, don't have living family. Sadly, that's part of why they're the problematic ones is because like,
yeah, nothing left to
yeah,
lose.
yeah, that was a
I
big
mean, I
factor.
figure at most it would be like the clever ones that like they might be the only ones, but yeah, like again, at the very least talking with them and offering like we might be able to like if we can find them we may be able to bring family to new land. uh
Yeah, I mean the ones with family left aren't opposed to it, but that's like three. Yeah, but either way, I'd say that's a pretty good day's worth of wheeling and dealing and information gathering. You have a much better picture of what the rebellion, the most recent one at least. There's been a couple. The most recent one was like what kicked it off, how it went. I would say also having like multiple perspectives here. The rebellion did take a long time to put down. Like to be fair, this was it. I'm not saying it would have it took too long given the space that it covered. Um, but it wasn't, maybe the Border Lord isn't as strong as he would like to pose, as he would like to present himself, at least as far as, we're ready to keep conquering until we run out of ocean type thing. Like, this took him a little while to put down. This probably took a lot of resources because once again, the fact that it was at least in part a religious rebellion meant they really had to dig out root and stem, which it was much worse than just a we're we don't care much, I don't think much about the government type thing. This was,
There we go.
Mohadib type bullshit. Uh, so, but yeah, so the day goes by and you're coming up on the Festival of Loyalty Vows. Uh, the day, I would say once again on a day schedule, single tear goes down Bemi's eye. Um, with the sunrise, the streets fill with music, or I mean, kind of music. It's a wild playing of drums, shrill flutes, and howling, kind of keening vocals that sound like a cross between a hiss and a shriek. Um, it's played from at almost every corner, from the canals when possible. It's just the city is filled with music, and it starts at the edges of the city, and the performers slowly move towards the center of the city, along with more and more people. Like the crowd grows as not everybody, but a lot of the population um, moves to the city center, into that. All around that sunken space with the battle ring, basically the arena, so to speak. You see this now. The whole area has been carefully prepared. Um, Something like stands have been set up so just this massive crowd can look down into the battle circle. The crowds here are pretty much all Latesh lizard folk. You don't really see a lot of outsiders. The vast majority of which are pretty excited about this because, mostly the people who live in the city full time. But there's a notable minority there isn't any cheering or good smiles on those faces or anything like it. They're not thrilled about any of this. But as the crowd swells to a certain point and the sun reaches its highest point, the floating palace begins sinking lower and lower until it goes down from 400 feet to about 300, then to about 200. And all of you at this point feel a sensation of weightlessness, very faint, but it's familiar to anyone who's been to Sharn or similar places. It's probably related to the effects of a Serenian manifest zone. Um, so it seems like there's some type of planar magic, unsurprisingly, in a in a palace built on top of a floating cloud. Um, but yeah, you see groups of people walk out onto the edge of the platform that the cloud uh, supports, and they simply step off in mass. For a horrifying second, you think you're going to just watch them plummet, but instead they fall unnaturally slowly, only about at most as fast as a man running. The
Oh
Sardaukar
no.
thing was a really good reference there.
Uh, uh, Jojo isn't reacting with horror. For a brief second, his hopes are really up before he remembers. Oh yeah, that's how they
Yeah,
work again.
yeah, that's the tactic. Damn it.
The entire time he's hoping the magic fails.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
just looking over my spell list, and I'm just, if Mercy 7 was evil, she does have Dispel Magic.
Because that's caused by an item. Dispel magic
You may need a
wouldn't
break
be.
enchantment for that stuff.
Right? Yeah, and there might be consequences too for doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Nah.
Yeah,
If we're high enough level that break enchantment, you may be able to handle it.
Yeah, but yeah. So the let's see here. Yeah, all of them as they float down land with practiced bent knees. They're dressed in very fine jewelry, robes. Most of them have the scales around their eyes dyed a bright yellow. Um, Once a fair number of them have landed, a small group takes the plunge last, which everyone very carefully makes space for. And as the group lands, everyone present goes to their hands and knees, touching their heads on the ground. Um, you guys, it's up to you if you want to do that. Probably don't have to since you're not like actually a tributary group of them. Um, but the Border Lord Suruxrul is massive, even among the Lutetia, who tend to range between 6 and 7 feet. He's pushing 8 is heavily muscled with arms nearly as thick as his legs. He's adorned in a blue silken loincloth, ornate what must be fire bronze jewelry, an enormous bright feathered headdress, and armed with a great sword that's nearly as tall as he is.
His arms are as big as his legs.
Almost, yeah.
Is he
This
a
is.
lizard folk or a gorilla?
I mean, the lizard folk in shape. He's a big boy. Um,
Like 8 feet. He may be taller than fucking Grick.
yeah, this is he is the height of what this culture produces. And
Uh, Jozo wonders if he could still even swim.
You don't. He's too powerful to swim now. He don't need.
um, but
The water knows better than to try and drown him.
yeah. Uh, Around him are three female Lutetia, each dressed in similar finery, and a small crowd of what are probably his children. About half of them look to be adults, or at least adults by lizard folk standards. Um, the crowd doesn't stand again until he walks over and sits on an engraved stone throne that overlooks the arena. But one of the yellow-dyed Lutetia comes forward and speaks in lizard folk, with her voice magnified by the familiar magic of minor illusion. This is the 15th festival of loyalty vows to Border Lord Syruxel the Mighty. There are cheers from the crowd, some probably more genuine than others. The first is the showing of the knights. And as she walks out of the circle, a crowd of lizard folk warriors with the signature blue and red around their eyes confidently stride out into the center of the circle, very much making a show of even the walkout. It's there's an element of the WWE thing here as they walk out. It's a lot of this is playing up to the crowd. They walk out
Do we
into the
hear?
circle.
Do we hear the glass shattering?
I mean, they don't have any glass to shatter, but yeah, it's a particularly loud set of drums as they go out. Um, and once they're done kind of showboating, they form up, and it's not quite a formation, but it's definitely you can see the ones with the biggest shields and stuff at the front. They're playing to training they've done. Um, Weapons raised as a huge reptilian beast is led into the circle. Um, a hydra is never a comforting thing to see, and you see the nine heads move about listlessly as a soothing flute is being played. Um, all of you and most of the crowd have to work to keep your focus against the calming magic that seems to be woven into the song. Beside you guys in the crowd, you see a couple people just slump over and pass out. Um, not everyone's as not everyone has the ability to resist the stuff as well as you. Uh, but once it's in the arena and the knights are ready, the song ends with the Hydra's handler making a very quick retreat, like backing up while playing and then just diving out of the circle, um, out of the Serpentine Head's range. That's a pretty wise move as the monster regains its faculties alarmingly quickly and just goes right at attacking the crowd of warriors in front of it. Um, that's not a thing anybody likes to see. Uh, to their credit, not one of them panics, with the Claw Knights moving forward as the Water Knights ignite everyone's weapons, which seem to be coated in something like pitch or tar. What follows is a brutal but surprisingly, I won't say one-sided, but pretty clear fight. Um, Even with nine heads attacking at the same time, the Hydra can't do more than down a few of the lizard folk combatants. They work together pretty well, even though like I said, there's no doesn't seem to be an official formation. It just they all train together constantly. With almost even a lot of the Water Knights are can swap out and take the front line when needed. Um, you'd guess if you were to categorize it by Corverin slash aka meta stuff. The Claw Knights seem to be mostly barbarians, allowing instinctive primal energies to strengthen their forms and shrug off most direct damage. The Water Knights are more varied. As I said earlier, they're not distinguishing between divine, arcane, or primal magic. You see some clerics, some paladins, arcane knights, and even one that looks like a rune knight. Um, there's one or two pure casters, but most of them are just trying to buff or occasionally arc fire into the Hydra. Um, you don't see anything past second level spells. The match goes on for over an hour, which you notice pretty quickly seems to be the point. The knights are swapping out regularly, and they're being very careful not to do any finishing blows on the Hydra. This is definitely, as your guide pointed out, this is a demonstration of power. The titled warriors in Cyrexil's army can hold their own against even this kind of thing. Finally, it comes to an end, and the Hydra is slain. Before the body even stops writhing, the heart is cut out and presented to the Border Lord, who has it begin to be prepared over a fire pit at the end of festival feast.
Okay. This is going to be like a weird tangent. But I remember when you said it was brought out, that instinctively made me think of like, how was it brought out? Is it like 9 collars around like the various heads of a Hydra, or like one,
Also,
or
where
is
were they
it
keeping it?
is
They,
it chained? Like, is it collared somewhere else?
no,
Like,
they had like a series of ropes set around most of the necks, but it's basically drugged out of its mind, so you just need
well,
to
yeah,
tug
I knew that, but I
tug
was
it as
just
it goes
thinking like
forward.
how they actually
Is this
like.
that stupid where would the necktie on a giraffe go?
Yeah, it's something. It's something on the. It's not even that. It's like, where would you put the collar on like a 9-headed giraffe? Like, would you need 9 of them, or maybe
No.
3 or
They
5? Or
they could easily you could easily have been like behind it and gently pushing. The issue is that nobody wanted to get that close to it if possible. So they basically just tied something around one of the necks and just went forward. Um, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, the rest of the Hydra is butchered right there in the arena, which is treated as kind of a break for the spectators. People get up, stretch their legs, discuss the match. Which you notice is universally praising the Knights. Nobody's willing to openly badmouth anybody here at this event. You never know who might overhear. Um, but yeah, when the Hydra's been fully butchered and cleared away, the trial of champions begins. This is the technically this is the chance for a champion to like elevate themselves in rank. From what you were told, this is also more in realistic terms. This is where they just kick the hell out of someone that each tribe puts forward, just to drive home the point that they're subjects. Um,
Is this where I raise my hand for joining?
you could, if you're willing, like if you win long enough, you will be pretty much told, "Hey, congrats, you're a claw of the glorious Border Lord. You're moving to the capital and you're living here for the rest of your life, and we'll use you as a shock trooper occasionally." Cool. Like that's how that goes.
oh,
You,
and if you
you
say no, we teleport 20 people in and murder you because you're too much of a threat to let go.
No, they don't teleport. They just yeah, oh, that's fine. And then you go back to wherever you're staying and they
And then you wake
privately
up dead.
they kill the living shit out of you. Yeah.
Sure thing, motherfucker. Come to Mishann and try that. I would like to see that happen.
If you can get back there right away, yeah. But that's how it works. That's how they set it up. Is like, oh, great, cool, you win. All right, you and your family are moving to the capital. Congrats. And if you do good work long enough, they decide you're trustworthy, then cool. But either way, your family are basically pseudo hostages.
I could have sworn I heard that you can do it as like a new guy and get that favor for with the
You can
That
do the trial of
that's
the
it.
beasts. Yeah, at the end. This
That's the
this
one.
is
Okay, not this
the
one.
this is Trial of the Champions. You're thinking for the is it? Challenges of the Wild. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. It can be a little confusing. I mean, I helped like obviously me and Sam like soundboard ideas off each other all the time, and even then like it's a little confusing. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I
understandable.
asked him for stuff about like lizard folk culture and stuff, but yeah. So the uh, let's see. Yeah, the champions, some look a lot more appropriate for the role than others, we'll say, as like dozens of them are brought out. You see like a less prepared looking one is a lizard folk male who looks barely out of adolescence and is armed with a single shamboo staff. Like he could pull off the like, you know, wushu stuff maybe, but in all likelihood that's just they just sent someone because they didn't have any fighters. Um, Unsurprisingly, the vast majority of champions don't last very long because they're initially paired off and fight against each other. And a lot of them are disqualified before they go against the knights. Most of them surrender after only a few blows are exchanged, which seems perfectly acceptable. It's, these are the people who were sent in. Yeah, we sent in a teenager. We like with almost no training. This is entirely for show. We're just showing that we understand that we're under the thumb. Um, the round against the Knights goes roughly the same, with like about half of them wash out. Um, with the fight going until it's clear a champion or occasionally a knight is outmatched and they just surrender. Once again, there doesn't seem to be any taboo against surrendering. Um, the final round, where the remaining champions, there's not a lot of them, but there are some who manage to win their fights against a knight, stand off against the claws. This has a very different atmosphere. There's a tension in the air as the first match starts. Um, it's a brutal fight, with the claw in question showing just how wide a gap there is between her and the champion in question. The next fight goes roughly the same. You notice that unlike the knights, the only thing that's uniform among the claws is the yellow dye on their scales. They have wildly different equipment. There is no like, oh, if you're here, you have to have this. Whatever works. They don't care. Um, it's a very different thing to lose at this level as well. The claws taking their time in beating any champion who loses within an inch of their life. There's not any surrendering here. It ends when you or the champion is unconscious, or you or the claw is unconscious. Among the 11 matches, there is one tribal champion who manages to beat the claw that they were fighting. Um, that surprises folk, but the champion's rewarded with a promise of a seat at the claws by the Border Lord himself. The champion in question accepts, and it's announced that his family will be moved to the capital to live in the palace with the other claws. Uh, this is all like the champion is barely standing. He's just kind of bleeding and like tilting his one functioning ear hole towards the Border Lord as he's granted this honor. These are not pleasant fights to watch. Um, even in victory, the claws they deserve their rep as pretty brutal shock troopers. If you would judge the knights as being below your average clan warrior, these guys are pretty far above one. Um, uh, but finally, it is time for the actual loyalty oaths. This takes the longest, with each appointed voice of the Border Lord having to walk across the blood-soaked circle and kneel before the Border Lord before swearing the loyalty of their tribe. Um, by the time the last oath is taken, the sun has almost completely set, and the circle is illuminated by huge torches set up around the ring. The announcer speaks again, her voice echoing across the canals of the city. And now, the challenges of the wild. Who wishes to shed blood in honor of Border Lord Syruxal, the Mighty?
Mercy
Balthazar.
stands up and raises her hand.
So does
Yeah,
Balthazar.
Do we all just stand up in unison?
nice. Yeah,
I
that's
imagine Zozozo is the last one to stand up, especially at the whole glory of fucking so and so. But that
Yeah.
he'll like with a huff, he'll stand up as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, yeah, there's definitely some interested murmurs among the crowd.
It's
At
the
such
part
an
where
exotic.
Balthazar like takes off his robes and he's got a Yakuza tattoo.
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted. But yeah, there's definitely
Technically
some
does.
interested murmurs. Like you guys are pretty wild looking. This is for the first time. There's like everyone seems kind of interested because who knows how this is gonna go. But when after a pause, she kind of the announcer kind of glances to the border lord, who just gestures with a single claw, and she says, "Very well. Who speaks in favor of these folk?" Rurodaka, for his part, rises up from near down in the pit, like where the knights went after their fight. Stands up and raises his clawed fist and says, "I, Claw Knight, uh, put my weight behind their claim. These are warriors worthy of the circle." And
Yeah,
the announcer,
funny
um,
thought.
yeah,
It just occurred to me it would have been really funny if Radaka was one of the ones that was like beaten unconscious during like the festivities.
yeah,
But he has shown to speak for us.
yeah. Shit. He,
Guys, I
well,
swear Radaka's got her back.
it helps that there weren't any actual deaths among the knights. They're pretty quick to go in and do, emergency, some magical triage healing among the knights. Standard warriors probably don't get that much, but if you're a knight, you're low level, but you
Yeah,
basically fought your way into nobility.
yeah, you're a made man.
Yeah, basically that's closer to it than real nobility, yeah. As if there's a ton of difference. But yeah, the uh the the announcer clears her throat and says, "Very well, you are judged worthy to enter. Um, come down, please." Or no, she wouldn't say please. She'd just say come down. Sorry. And yeah, do you guys enter the ring where she is waiting?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she asks, "Should you win, what is the favor you wish?"
We wish to speak to the border lord and earn his friendship for the people of Mishann.
Yeah, she nods and a truly honorable favor. Um, may your ancestors smile on you. And
Can yours say the same?
she doesn't get that reference, and she doesn't speak common, thankfully. But yeah, she leaves the arena, and you're invited to position yourselves around the circle, however you wish, while the first of the challenges are brought out. And I will put you guys on the map. You can organize yourselves, and then we'll probably end it here.
That's good timing because my power is flickering now, and I'm
Uh,
concerned that I might just drop out.
oh God! All right. Let's
Ruh-roh.
see. Yeah. Oh, like I said, perfect timing. Mercy, Balthazar, Bemi is quiet, but he'll show up, I'm sure. And don't forget, you've all had a long
Sniping
rest,
from
by
the
the way.
stands.
Yeah. Yeah. He just chimes in. Am I forgetting anyone? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. So just position yourselves however you want. Like I said, don't forget you've had a long rest. I mean, you don't have to take one, but if you want to have a long rest before this, before 3 rounds. Um, and yeah, the first challenge is brought out. At first, it just looks like, you know, uh, boxes and boxes of reeds or crates of reeds that they just kind of dump into like the onto the arena across from you. like reeds pulled from the canals. The flowering plant matter very quickly just slithers together and forms into a vaguely humanoid shape covered in flowers and specks of glowing light that resemble fireflies. And the announcer calls out, "First round is the Lotus Golem." And I'll save it there, post it
How
in,
bizarre.
and then we will call it Creatures Lotus Golem.
Golem of distributed materials. Fascinating.
And yeah, let me come on, do the thing. Okay, there we go. But yeah, with that we'll end for this week. I hope everybody had fun. A
Yeah.
lot of talking, but I think we'll probably be starting off with a bit of combat next session.